Hey guys, we're super glad that you guys are with us. And hey, if you've never met me before, my name is Shua. It's nice to meet you. I now know every single person in this room. That is a lie. Let's see here. Got a question for you guys. Have you ever been so excited about something, so wrapped up in something, so worked up about something that you just could not shut up about it? Anybody? Anybody been so stoked about something you could not shut up? See, I can relate because this happens to me. Like, pretty much all the time. I wanted to share a couple of things with you guys that I get I get so excited about, I can't wait to share. So the first one is this. Some of you guys know this. I am a huge superhero comic book fan, like kind of weirdly into it. Like I actually read the comics. I don't just watch the movies, but I love the movies. Now, I don't know, raise your hand. Do you guys remember when the first Avengers movie came out? Do you guys remember that? See, it feels like there's so many superhero movies out now, but here's the thing. When that movie came out, it was a big deal. Like the hype train was massive. People were losing their minds. So was I, and so were my friends. So I love these pictures. I just wanted to show this to you guys. Super geek, right there. So that one of me as Thor with the skinniest Hulk who's ever lived. We were going to go see the premiere of Avengers. That was awesome. And then some of you guys know David Steinbarger. He was a speaker for middle school summer camp last year, and then he came and spoke for high school camp. That's him pretending to be Thor. And yeah, my favorite part about this photo though is, you see that lady? Right? Like we're just messing around in Walmart and all of a sudden my friend gets this picture and she's just photobombing. And I just think about what's going through her mind? Like what is she? Those guys are so cool. I just wish I was like them. See, I remember when this movie came out, it was crazy. People were losing their minds and I loved sharing it with other people. Now, this year, we got Infinity War, okay? And my little geek heart started fluttering, guys. It was like there was butterflies inside of here. It was an exciting time for me. And because this is like 10 years of storytelling coming together, this is the Avengers and Spider-Man and the Guardians and Thanos all at the same time. It was a lot of fun. And I just showed you guys that picture of my friend David. David and I drove to Green Bay, Wisconsin to go watch Avengers Infinity War with him. And then, like two really cool, mature gentlemen like we are, we stayed up until 3 a.m. over sipping coffee, talking about all the details and all the deep nuances and psychological meanings behind the film. Okay? Thank you. This is who I am, Super Geek 101. So I love talking about that kind of stuff. Some of the other things I love talking about, maybe you guys are also, I love the Green Bay Packers, and I love football season. Now, sometimes it's easy to be a Packers fan. And then other times, your quarterback gets hurt and your whole season gets destroyed. That happens to us every once in a while, right? And then other times, you're watching a Packer game and you're convinced there's no way they could ever win, and then your quarterback comes back and just beats the Bears up and they start crying. That can happen when you are a Packer fan. See, it's fun to share that stuff. It's fun to go to Packer parties and that kind of stuff. It's really fun to make fun of Vikings fans. It's just a good time. It's just a good time. See, I like sharing that with people. Another thing I like sharing with people is my love for this thing, for youth group. Okay, I love this thing, and it's fun. I love sharing with my friends about you guys and who you are and what you're doing. I love sharing that I know so many of your stories and the ways that you guys are growing in your faith and in your walk with Jesus. Many of you that come and tell me about how you are sharing your faith with your friends, and it honestly like shocks me and impresses me and challenges me. Last spring we did a series called Make War, and I had so many conversations with so many of you guys who took that seriously and didn't just show up and listen, but heard that and were like, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start to fight. I'm gonna start to make war on my sin. And like I said, you guys come and you hear me speak up here, but sometimes I learn more from you guys, and it's just awesome to be a part of it. There's a lot to be stoked about around here, and I hope you guys know this. We, like your team here, all of your leaders, we are so crazy proud of you guys. There's a reason we show up week in and week out, because we believe in you. We believe that you guys can do so much, and we get to see it time and time again. So these are some of the things I love sharing, right? This is like the natural outflow of our hearts is to talk about the stuff that we're excited about. Like, we can't help it. We have to talk about it. We have to share the things that we love most. So, question for you, for every person in this room. What do you love most? Just think about it. What do you love more than anything else? Is it your friends? Right? Maybe for some of you that's the case. Maybe it's your friends at school and the time you get to spend with them. Maybe it's your sport. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's popularity and the reputation that you've built for yourself, whether as getting a ton of friends, or maybe you're good at a sport, or you're good in your club or whatever, and you've built this idea that what I really care about in my life is how other people see me, how they view me. That's what I love the most. What do you love more than anything else? And I had to think about this for myself. And maybe it'll seem obvious, but the answer for me is that nothing will ever or could ever compare to knowing Jesus. Nothing. There's no person that I love that much. I love my wife. I love her like crazy. I love my family. My brother's in here. I love him like crazy. But compared to the way I feel about Jesus, he's the number one thing. He's the number one. See, the Bible actually describes him as our first love because he's the one that our hearts were designed to chase after. We were literally made by him, and the only way we could ever be satisfied or happy or fulfilled is to know Jesus. We're made that way. And I think here's the thing. We have to get the right perspective here because maybe you're like me. Some of you guys have grown up in church. Some of you guys have grown up, gone through JW Kids, and you've been coming to youth group for a long time, or maybe a different church, and you've heard Bible stories over and over again. And the danger of that, the danger of hearing Bible stories ever since you're a small child, is that we start to feel like they're just stories. It's just this thing. It's just this thing I've heard many times. And we lose the shock of it. We lose the awe of it. But let's just take a second and pause and remember and get the right perspective for why we should be so amazed by him. First of all, Jesus created and designed you. The Bible says that when you were still in your mother's womb, he formed you, he created you, and he did that before eternity itself. Like, he's always known you and the plan he had for you and how much he's loved you and how excited he is to bring you here. He made you, okay? But then, even though we were made and created to be with Jesus, you and I and every person who's ever lived, we've turned our backs on God. Because we chose our sin. We chose our sin over him. And we were completely lost, completely hopeless in that sin. There was no way that you and I could ever make it right or ever earn our way to Jesus by just trying extra hard. That's not possible. It's not going to work that way. But here's the thing. Not only did Jesus make us, but he looked at you and he looked at me and he saw us in our brokenness. And he decided that there was no price too high to pay to buy you back. And that's what the cross is all about. It's God himself coming to this earth, suffering and dying and taking our place. And literally paying for every sin, for every crime that you and I have committed. And I can't say for you, but I know for myself, there's a lot of them. And he did it for everyone. He paid the price that we could never pay. And by doing that, he brings us forgiveness. He makes us right before God. It's incredible. Like, if you actually think about it, if you actually pause to consider how much he's done, that he made you, and then after you turned your back on him, that he would do everything and give his own life to buy you back and to set that relationship back in a healthy, perfect place. It's unbelievable. So when I think about this, Jesus is the one thing that I love more than anything else. And my hope would be that that would become the same thing for you. That when we think about the number one thing, it has to be so clear that it's him. So if that's true, if he's the thing I love more than anything else, then I have to ask myself, how could I not share that? How could I not talk about the thing that I am more excited about, more passionate about, more on fire for than anything else? How could I keep that to myself? And that's what having a one life is all about. See, this idea of one life, this is meant to be a practical, real way for you to invest in somebody's life, for you to share your love for Jesus with them. Now, if this is the first time you've ever heard it, it's this idea that every single Christian should have a one life, okay? This is somebody that you are praying for. This is somebody you're going after. This is somebody you're looking for opportunities to share your faith with. See, this is the heartbeat behind what we're talking about, because there's only one way that this works. There's only one way that this idea of one life, this whole thing that we're aiming for, could possibly work, and it's this. We got another slide. It has to be fueled by love. This is the only way this idea works. Some of you guys have been hearing us talk about this for a while, but I want to make sure you guys hear something very clear from us. If having a one life is just an invite, like you just invite a friend to something you enjoy, okay, great. If it's just a checklist item, just you heard Shua say from up front, hey, you should have one. Okay, well, I'll get one and I'll invite one and I'll bring them to this event. Okay, if it's just a checklist item, here's the thing. That means that there is no power there. If it's just about an event or just something that we do as a club, it's useless unless it has love. It has to be fueled and motivated by love. And here's the awesome thing. Here's how this works. And this has been kind of blowing my mind. See, to be fueled by love, it starts with this. It starts with a real, genuine, passionate love for Jesus. That's why I was talking about all that, about how I think about him, about how I feel. Because when I think about everything Jesus has done for me, it creates a sense of awe in my heart. It wells up love and appreciation and just thankfulness for who he is and what he's done for me. So it starts by being about him. And when I love Jesus, then I love the things that Jesus told me to do. To go out and make disciples of all nations, to be an ambassador, to carry this message. So I want to do it because I love him. It starts there. But then it grows deeper when we add a love for this person. When we care about them, when we love them, when we long for them to know Jesus. Because if we really, really love our friends, I think we throw that word around a lot, don't we? Love, 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 love. I love my mom. I love my grandmother. I love pizza. I love that chair, right? We throw love out like it's nothing. And we say we love all these people. But if we really loved our friends, then it would not be enough for us to just hang out with them. It would not be enough to have movie nights. It would not be enough just to laugh a lot and have a good time. Because if you genuinely love that person, then that means you're going to care about their soul. You're going to care about who they really are. Not just the fun you can have in a moment, but who they really are and where they are going. Because check this, without Jesus, have you thought about that? Without Jesus, they are still a slave to their sin. I hope that stings a little bit. Without Jesus, our friends who don't know him, they're still a slave to their sin. They have never experienced forgiveness. Never. Instead, they are still buried by the weight of their shame and their guilt. And don't forget that you and I, all of us, we are eternal people. Every one of us. Heaven and hell are real places. Sometimes we don't talk about them. Sometimes we don't talk as if we're going to live a certain number of years, a certain number of days, and then we're done here. And we are going somewhere. And so is every person you know. The stakes are massive. And see, guys, this is why we're pushing this one life thing so hard. This is why you've heard about it so many times. It's because people matter. People matter. And God has called us to share the cure with people. Like, literally, think about it. You and I know the only way that someone can experience eternity. You and I know and have a relationship with the only person, the only one who could ever restore them, that could ever give them the happiness and the joy that they seek, that they desire so bad in their core and in their heart. And if we were to keep that back from them, it's just a monstrous thing to do. We've been called to share. I want to show you guys this verse I found in 2 Corinthians 5:20. I love this verse. It's so powerful. Paul is saying, we are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. Just check that out for just a second. This is so cool that you and I have been called to be ambassadors on Jesus' behalf, to take this message, to be brave enough and courageous enough to represent him to this world, to represent him to your schools and to your friends, and to appeal. That's this idea of like almost begging, like helping them to understand and hear truth, and then saying, believe. I want so badly for you to know this, for you to be reconciled to God. It's a powerful thing. I wanted to share something with you guys. Last spring, we told you, when we started talking about this thing, this idea of one life, we said, hey, this isn't just for you, okay? We're not just saying this for students, like this is like somehow your chore or something, and right? But I said, no, this is also for your leaders, okay? So I want you guys to know something. I have a one life. I actually just got my one life, all right? So in the spring, when I told you guys that, I didn't have one. I didn't spend time with people who didn't know Jesus. Because I work at a church, like you guys know, and I hang out with people who work here all the time. So all my best friends are Christians. And so I was like, oh man, who's my one life going to be? I don't know how I'm going to go. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I've been praying about it and saying, Jesus, there's no way that I could expect you guys to like take this seriously, like really buy in and be like, okay, let's do it if I'm not willing to do this too. So I was praying and I was praying and I was praying, and God put on my heart, hey, you do know people, and the people that it's going to be are not the easiest people for you. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about my one life, okay? This is big for me, all right? Oh, and by the way, everyone on our staff team, okay, is doing this. Your leaders have also been challenged to have a one life. This is something we're trying to do together, all right? This is about all of us. So I want to share about my one life. I've known him since middle school, okay? And we actually used to be best friends. We were super, super close. And like, you know, as all really, really cool, super geeky middle school boys do, we'd like hang out, we'd play GameCube for hours and hours on end. We'd pull all-nighters, we would do movie marathons. We had great times. We had times where we laughed so hard, we'd cry. Somebody probably peed a little, I don't know. You'd laugh until it hurt, you know, those like great memories that you can only have with the best of friends. And then we also had times where we got so angry at each other that we would scream bloody murder at each other. And then we've both said things to each other that to this day, I regret, okay? We both lost really close family members around the same time, and we were both able to be there for each other as support and to strengthen through that heartache. I have a lot of history with my one life, but this is the reason why it gets hard. I'm 28 years old. Be impressed. I'm old, okay? Which means I've been out of high school for 10 years. Was that Chad? No? Okay. Sounds good. Nice to meet you, buddy. Thanks, Chad. Have a good evening. That was beautiful. So like I said, I'm old now, and it means I've been out of high school for 10 years, okay? Now, I was best friends with this guy in middle school. We were not best friends by the end of high school, okay? I had some issues. I've told some of you guys I was a very prideful guy, and I burned some bridges with some friends. And then when I left high school, I'm the type of guy who, when I'm done with a person, at least this is how I used to be, when I was done with a person, I was done with them. Okay, kind of sever connections on to the next thing. So I hadn't talked to this dude for 10 years. And I'm praying and I'm asking God, who do you want this to be? Who do you want this to be? Who do you want this to be? Idea of who it should be. I'm like, no. And he's like, yes, okay. And so we got together and we had a wonderful meal and we talked and we catched up on 10 years of good times and of bad times. And now there's a relationship starting again. And I got to share little nuggets about my faith, about what I do, about what God's done in my life. And I'm just praying that God uses more and more of this relationship so I have opportunities, okay? This is huge for me. But this is where this is all going, right here. This is the most important thing that I'm going to say tonight. He is not just a project to me. I really want you guys to hear this. My one life is not just a project to me. He's not just a checklist item, okay? Because what I don't want you guys to hear when we bring up this idea, you should have a one life. It's not like this. Okay, think of a person who doesn't know Jesus. Got it? All right, great. Now, convince them to come to youth group. Okay, got it. And then maybe or maybe not, they'll put their faith in Jesus. We're praying that they will. Okay, got it. And then they do, or they don't. And you're like, okay, well, I've got my checklist done. All right, sweet. I'm never going to talk to them again. On to the next person. It sounds disgusting when I say it that way, but this is a very easy thing for us to do. This is an easy, natural thing for people to slip into. It's not right, but we could do that. And I want you guys to hear me. This guy is not a project to me. He's not a checklist item. I love this dude. I care about him. I care about not just who he is today. I care about who he is in 5 years. I care about who he is in 10 years. I care about his family. I care about his eternity and where he's going and what God could do through this. See, that's the thing. This has to be motivated by love or else it's useless. And I'm just amazed by this idea that I have been forgiven of so much. Jesus has done everything for me and changed my life. Everything has changed, and I want him to have the same thing. I want him to know Jesus, to really, really know him. And this is not a small thing. I know that God could change his eternity. So the reason that all of us need to have a one life, the reason we have to care about this is that this world is full of people who need Jesus. And you and I, we are God's plan to reach them. We're his plan. Romans 10, 13 through 15 says this. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then will they call on him of whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they've never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. Let's be the kind of people who love Jesus so much that we have to be a part of this. Just out of our love for him, that we would long to be a part and to see his kingdom grow and to see people come to him, and that we would love these people so much. They wouldn't just be checklist items or just projects, but we would love them and care about them and honestly desire them to know the same freedom that you and I have experienced. So I'm going to invite the worship team up as we wrap this thing up. Couple of next steps. What can you do with this? What can you take all the stuff we've been talking about and do? Number one is this. Ask yourself, who is your one life? I know some of you guys have one because you've been asking me questions, you've been telling me, you've been giving me updates. So just think about it. Who is your one life? Have you seriously prayed to Jesus and asked, okay, God, this might be hard, it might be awkward, but I want to trust you and I want to see people know you. So God, do something in my life. Give me the courage to maybe look a little awkward, to maybe look a little foolish, but to care enough about that person that it doesn't matter, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Maybe this is a close friend. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe it's somebody you spend a lot of time with. Maybe it's that kid in your biology class who you don't know super well. Here's the thing. Your first step is to commit to praying for them, looking for opportunities to share with them. So will you just do that? No pressure, just to think about who the person is. Think about them, commit to praying for that person and to looking for opportunities to share Jesus with them. Who is your one life? And number two, invite them to one night. Invite them to one night. This is 2 weeks away, guys. We've got 2 weeks until this night happens. And it's going to be amazing and it's going to be powerful. And we're throwing everything we've got into this night so that it's an incredible time for you to invite your friends to. And you can do it knowing they're going to hear about Jesus. It's going to be clear. It's going to be easy for them to understand. We're going to be praying for them, looking for opportunities. The worship team is going to bring in the best they've got. Message is going to be everything, okay? And we've got this awesome after party, a great way for you to invite your friends. The whole idea of a one night is this is the night that you bring this person. You invite them to youth group. You invite them here, and you trust that God can do something amazing. And here's the deal. I just want you to imagine something. Look around the room quick. Look at every person in this room. Just real quick. Just get a little bit of an idea. I want you to imagine something. On an average night, like we might get, I don't know, 3, 5, 10 new students, which is awesome, and we're so glad to have every single one of them. I want you to imagine something though. What would happen if every person in this room was so sold out for Jesus, and and so sold out in loving these people that every single one of you brought somebody. This isn't your friend who goes to another youth group down the street. This is somebody who doesn't know God and is having an opportunity to hear about him and to potentially have their lives changed. Last week we told you guys we are praying for a miracle. We are praying for a revival. And I want you to imagine what that would look like. Are you ready? I want you guys to know the kind of things you're going to be inviting people to. Middle school, your after party is this. It's called Blackout. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be blackouts for days. There's going to be an ice cream trough. You heard me right. Not like an ice cream sundae, not like a gallon of ice cream, like a trough of ice cream. And I don't care if you want to eat it nice and polite or if you want to shove your face in it. It's going to be awesome. Invite your friends to the ice cream trough. There's going to be ridiculous games. Everyone's going to get split into 4 teams. You're going to complete tons of mini games. There's going to be some sporty stuff, some artistic stuff, all sorts of things. If you want to ask questions, I'll be available afterwards to answer those. But it's going to be ridiculously fun. Blackout, you want to be there, wear your neon clothes. It's going to be sweet. High schoolers, we're doing something called Lumberjack Kickback, okay? It's going to be just a ton of fun. We're going to have a huge bonfire outside. There's going to be a caramel apple station with all the fixins. Where's Trevor? Where's Trevor? Trevor's building a trebuchet. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like the thing that like, shoo, boom, so we can launch pumpkins and stuff. You can launch potatoes too. I don't care. It's going to be awesome. And you have to wear flannels because it's required. So there's that. So these are just our way of giving you guys opportunities to invite your friends to something that's going to be awesome. Something that they know they can have a good time with. Something they know is going to be a lot of fun. But you know that they're going to hear the truth of Jesus the whole time. I want you guys to understand something. This is an investment in your one life. That's what a one night's meant to be. It's meant to be an investment. Some of your friends might put their faith in Jesus. We're praying for that. We're praying for miracles. And some of them won't yet. But what's happening is a seed is being planted in their heart and in their life. And it may happen in 2 weeks at one night, or it might happen 2 weeks after that, or a month after that, or years after that. But what's happening is seeds are being planted in their heart and opportunities are being opened up for you. If you bring your friend and they hear all about Jesus, guess what? You have an open door to continue that conversation with them afterwards. So, think about this. See this as a launching pad. See this as an opportunity. You guys have 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight. Who is your one life? Do you have one? And how can you get them here? Let's pray. Jesus, God, I thank you for every person in this room. And I thank you for how you have individually designed them and created them and made them with a plan and a purpose and a dream. Lord, I just pray for courage. I pray for a sense of your presence, and I pray, God, that your love would flood our hearts. That truly we would be fueled by a love for you and an honest and genuine love for these people. That we would care about their present, that we would care about their eternity, and that we would long for them to know you. Jesus, I just pray that you would blow our minds. Do something that seems so hard. Do something that seems so impossible. Show us, God, that you are the same God who worked miracles thousands of years ago, and you can still work miracles today. We trust you in Jesus' name. Amen.